o'clock. Not 10 after. I don't think.
Mike, can you ask Eric to come in and we're ready to get started?
That's true. Ask him if he brought any extra water. Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to tell them.
This one? Okay. And when the third candidate is done speaking on this, I need to turn it off so we don't want to interfere with the two microphones, the on and off. I just want to make sure that, so that way nobody...
See, now you got the mic turned on and I have nothing to say anymore.
That's where it goes.
I thought the mic was on before. That's a little overdriving for my voice, though. Hey there. You got the chat room going here?
Yeah, sure do.
How many people we got?
We've got two people. These are streamers coming in. Yeah, it's two streamers. We don't have the...
I don't have people here yet?
They're streamers. There's two of them, see?
Okay.
What they do is they're just here but somehow else. They're picking up on someone else.
See, this is new for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do television, public access in Flint, and would highly recommend if you want to check out any of my shows to go to cityoflint.net. This show is being brought to you by Flint Talk Radio.
My name is Andreas. I'm president of UAW Local 651, and on behalf of the leadership and membership of our local union, I'd like to welcome you tonight to FLint Mayoral Candidate Forum. I would just, for a little bit of housekeeping, for everybody, I would ask that everyone please take a moment and turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate, so that way we're not interrupting the candidates as they are speaking. You had an opportunity to pick up a card at the back of the room to turn in questions. And so I would encourage you to please do so.
They're all collected.
They're all collected? Okay. Thank you. All right. And again, on behalf of UAW Local 651, I thank you for coming by. At this time, I'd like to bring up Jerry Hall, Vice Chair of the Democratic Party.
That's loud.
Good evening,
That's pretty good, though.
My name is
Sounds
Jerry
good.
Hall. As Vice Chair of the Genesee County Democratic Party, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you this evening to our FLint Mayoral Candidate Forum. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come out and hear our FLint Mayoral candidates explain why each one feels he or she should be your next mayor. We appreciate your support for this event, support of the Genesee County Democratic Party, the City of Flint, and the Democratic Black Caucus. 2009 is a critical and or pivotal year for the Democrats in the City of Flint. In my opinion, this election is one of the most important mayoral elections in the city's history. Please listen closely tonight to our candidates and
there's no
vote
way to
for the
zoom in
candidate
on
of
anybody,
your
is there?
choice
No.
on
Okay.
Tuesday, May 5th. The fact that you are here tonight indicates your interest in local government.
Now, let me just
Most
say,
of
this is
you
the first
also
time
have
we've
astute
you or I have
interest
ever done anything like
in
this.
not only
We're bringing a
local
live
government,
broadcast of
but
something
county,
on the internet
state,
for the
and
city of
national
Flint.
politics.
I think this was a first.
We all understand that the City of Flint has a tremendous impact on Genesee County.
Now, see, I see
We must
Joe Lawler
get
from the
it
Flint
right
Journal
this
here, but I
time.
can guarantee he ain't going to be smart
I
enough to
remember my
cover
dad
this
used to
on
say,
his
"You don't know
own.
where you're going, any road will take
So
you
I'll
there."
hint at him, but
As
I
chair
can't guarantee
of
he's
the
going to see
Genesee
it.
County
I
Democratic
don't know.
Black Caucus,
You like to make animals
I
dance
believe
with
it's time for us to take a stand. Let's be advocates for our city.
I'm not trying
Our
to be
leaders
mean.
must
It's
continue
just,
to make
Flint
themselves
Journal
available to
decides
us,
for us what the news is.
to our
Here, you get to
community,
see it firsthand.
run on their values,
That's
and
why I like this
offer
one.
clear solutions on the critical issues we now face. I believe we have a moral obligation to step up to the plate and do the right thing for our city. We need all of you to be involved. On Tuesday, May 5th, let's elect a mayor who will make Flint a better place for us, our children, and our grandchildren. Again, thank you for coming out tonight. And now, if Reverend Burns will please come up and give us our opening prayer.
Let us pray. Oh God, we come at this time and hour to ask for your blessing upon this meeting and to all those who have gathered in this place. We pray your blessing upon this organization as it seeks to serve the people of this city. Oh God, give this organization wisdom, knowledge to make decisions representative of those whom they serve and will continue to serve in this city. Give strength to this organization where it is weak. Give peace, joy, and love where there is disharmony amongst its members, if there be any. Let this organization represent unity among its members and not discord amongst the membership of this organization. Build the faith of the organization in this time of adversity in this city and our nation. Allow them to bring forth hope to those who see no hope in the political system. This is our prayer, God, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, and some would say that we need prayers for the city at this time. I want to take a moment as chair of the Democratic Party to add my welcome and to especially express my thanks to UAW Local 651 for hosting this event. I will tell you that we're going to try to finish by 8 o'clock promptly, and that there will be refreshments over on this side.
Yeah, because I got karaoke at 9.
A few minutes of milling around and meeting the candidates face to face at the conclusion of the forum. I want to recognize, and I think because of time, I'm going to just do this generically.
With my comments, you guys probably won't want me around in this one.
Except for those of
This may be my first and
who will be
last one.
introduced later.
Commenting on what's going on down
In
here.
the audience stand. I know there are a couple here, not very many.
Well, he hasn't called us, so we must not be doing too bad.
Bergen City
I don't even know
Council
if he's home yet.
and Antoinette Lockins, Flint School Board. I also want to mention that
Cool.
we're being aired live
Welcome.
on Flint Talk Radio, and these gentlemen down here, two of whom are still here, Steve Meyer, John Wilson, and Ted Jankowski, will be airing this live, and it will be available later for your listening pleasure also. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the moderator of tonight's
Wow,
debate.
what was that?
Many years ago, when I was first elected to City Council,
We got
there
4
was a guy
streams now.
who was a cub
Outstanding.
reporter. I think it was his second assignment, his second beat.
They have not
His name
yet
was John
started.
Foran, and he
Asking
was a
questions,
tough
getting ready to get
reporter
started.
sometimes. He asked the right questions. He was a very good reporter. He was succeeded by someone who probably was a better reporter, but she may have learned a little bit from him because she's now his wife and became his wife during the time then. So John Foran and Terry Bannis were the first reporters that I met from the Journal covering City Hall. And John has gone on. He is currently the editor of the Flint Journal. As of today, one never knows whether tomorrow the Journal is going to be alive or not.
All
these
3
days. And
copies
that's a
every
shame
week.
that we are losing print media across the country and losing access to print media, responsible print media like the Flint Journal. I want to introduce John Foran. He's going to go over the rules of the debate, and then we'll go immediately to an opening statement and questions. John Foran.
Flint crowd
Who's
today.
Mike?
This community has always been very active
Ours or
in
the-
politics and community activities, and that is something that Flint holds over a lot of other cities. I'm going to quickly go over some basic ground rules,
Said ours.
and then we're going to get to the main part of the show, which is the candidates and what they think about things. We're going to try to get to about 6 questions during this debate. The order of the answer is going to rotate. We're going to start opening statements in alphabetical order, starting with Mr. Buchanan and going down from there. And then after that, the questions will rotate. Brenda Clack will take the first question and so forth. There's going to be a 2-minute opening statement by each candidate. Each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to answer questions. One of my jobs is to make sure they don't go over that. And I'm going to try to be very vigilant about that so that you can hear as many responses as possible. And then finally, we're going to have a 2-minute closing statement for each candidate. The goal here is to hear the candidates, hear their views as much as possible. That's why we're going to try to be very vigilant about that time limit. A couple other minor points. I am going to jump in occasionally, hopefully not very often, if I feel like someone is not answering the question, which I know is not going to happen tonight, but just in case, I will jump in and say, but what's your answer? And I'm going to try to be very fair and equal about that, of course. I also may ask, and again, I want to try to limit this as much as possible, I may ask a follow-up question if there's one that begs to be asked. But otherwise, let's get on with the show. And Mr. Buchanan, you want to start?
Thank you. Can you hear me? First of all, I'd like to thank Local 651, Mr. Reyes, the Black Caucus, and the Democratic Party. I'd like my daughter Chaka to stand up, my niece Shaquisha. They're part of the reason I'm in government trying to make Flint better. Thank you, guys. I want to sit here and I want to talk to you guys about experience. I want to talk to you about being an investigator in the Ombudsman's office, being on the city council, and being a city administrator and executive. Because we're in an economic time where you have to have an intimate knowledge of the budget and where you have to make adjustments, where you can pull money from, so you won't have an incident like we had with the Flint Fire Department on Benton Street. You have to be able to talk to the Flint Fire Department about minimum staffing levels. I want to be able to talk to you guys about BDO days, voluntary days off. I want to be able to talk to you guys how we can tweak the budget and make adjustments in the budget without laying people off. I want to talk to you how it felt looking in the eyes of Barney Frank and the chief of staff of Nancy Pelosi in Washington, D.C. I want to show you that in economic times that we find ourselves in today, we can't go retro and talk about job development. Job development 20 years ago is not the same job development you have today. We need individuals who can come into government, we can talk about green collar, we can talk about the Apollo Alliance, we can talk about rebuilding the different areas where we have life. I want to be able to sit with you and talk to you about these things very intimately, and as long as we're here, we can talk about as many issues as you want to put on the table. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Brenda Clack.
Good evening, everyone, and again, thank you to Local 651, and thank all of you for coming to hear us tonight. We've been through many debates, but it is a joy to sit out and see individuals who are interested in government. We are in the midst of one of the deepest economic crises since the 30s. We must, and I will, with an administrative team that's qualified, that's experienced, that has community involvement, and a strong interest in this community, provide the best leadership that you can ask for. I would not want to, at the end of my administration, say what I could have done and I was in office to do. If you're in office, you do while you're in office, not talk about it after you're done. This will not be what I'm going to talk about. I love this community. I have faith that this community will survive. We are resilient in this community. We have gone through a lot of struggles, and yet we continue to hang in here because we have the faith. There will be a change, and a change is necessary. A change is necessary now. As I sit amongst these gentlemen here, know the fact that I have accepted this challenge. I would not be sitting here. It's not about a name. It's the position and being in the position to make a change. I, Brenda Clapp, have put myself in that position because I feel that the commitment to this city that I've made, not just a year ago or 2 years ago, several years ago, I made a commitment to this city, and my record shows that. That's what you can count on. Stability, integrity. We want someone that will be able to sit at a table, that someone will listen to and know for a fact that they will not change. That is what I offer you, Flint. I ask you to support me on May 5th.
All right, thank you very much. Gregory Eason.
Hello, my name is Gregory Eason. I've lived in Flint, Michigan for approximately 31 years. I spent the first 10 years of my life working at AC Spark Plug, which is right across the street, or shall I say used to be right across the street. I worked as a manufacturing supervisor and worked as an industrial engineer. I did a number of different jobs there. And so whenever I drive by Dort Highway, it's personal with me because I've worked in the plants and I know what that really means. From there, I became a vice president of a medical laboratory. From there, I became a director in economic development. I've been a president and CEO of a Workforce Development Corporation. I've been a president and CEO of the largest banking school in the state of Michigan, the 4th largest banking school in the United States of America. I've actually ran my own company for around about 7 years, a $1.5 million organization. Now, the reason why I take you through that is not because I'm trying to brag on myself, as some of my opponents may say to you. The reason why I say that is because I think it is important that you choose a different model of leadership as we move forward in the future. You're going to need a leader that has a demonstrated track record of making accomplishments. I'm the only one that can sit here and say to you that I was responsible for getting $5 million and establishing the Broom Center in Flint, Michigan. I'm the only one that can say to you that I manage well over $200 million of federal, state, and foundation funds. I'm the only one that can sit up here and say to you that I've been a president and CEO of an organization and been responsible for restructuring organizations. You're going to need a leader who does not represent the same political things that we've had in the past. You do not need a leader, quite frankly, that comes from administrations who have failed us for the last 20 years. We need new leadership, and I am that leader.
Thank you very much. Eric Mays.
Hello. Turn that one off, Greg.
Hello, good evening. My name is Eric Mays, and 51 years old, born at Hurley Hospital, September 16, 1958. My father was the late Pastor Louis H. Mays, Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. 2 candidates, Eric Mays and Sheldon Neely, are members there. I tell you that because whether you win the mayor's seat or not, as you move around the community over 20-something years, the UAW, the Democratic Party, no matter who you are, it's just like these different forms. I've been to about 5 or 6 of them now, and you see some of the same people. They don't care what they hear. They're already locked in. They're locked in the candidates because of relationships, who they know. People don't really listen to the issues and solutions in this community. They vote because of race, black, white, who they know, who they're affiliated with, and the patterns have shown. People make commitments to candidates even before the field is completed. That's Flint. I would hope that people do what they did nationally. People thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. In 30 seconds, left, and that's the problem with these forums. Do you understand that we've been dealing in the trenches for 25 years or more since we come back from Michigan State? I am educated. I got a degree in political science, pre-law. I probably attended more city council meetings and watched mayors and councilmen go all the time. We know what the solutions are.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Sheldon Neely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank all of you for coming out tonight. Thank you, Local 651. Tess.
Sounds good over here.
Tess. Okay. Can we start it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you, Local 651, for hosting this forum. My name is Sheldon Neely. I was born and raised in this community. I'm going to start off by giving you the things that's most important to me. I'm a man of faith, a husband and father. Those are the titles that's important to me. I'm also a labor leader. I'm the president of CWA Local 46. I'm also a 6th Ward City Council person. I'm also the director of Flint Inner-City Junior Golf Association, and I also chair part of the Flint Canusa Olympic Games. But with that said, I'm going to move to something different. Instead of talking about myself since I gave you my titles, as Reverend Burns came here tonight, he offered a very powerful prayer for this community. A very powerful prayer. He talked about unity, being united, because it's very well going to take every one of us in this community with a concerned mind and heart to lift us out of the situation that we're currently in. Unified around one single effort, Flint survival. I love this community. I was born and I was raised here. My family still lives here. I have children here. Now, as you see 6 candidates running for this office, you're going to hear different words. Words like change. Now, the reality of it is this. Whoever's elected, that's change, because it won't be the same person that was there the last time. Okay? So let's not be distracted, and let's not lose focus of what's really important in this community. Our survival. Now, this is our 6th forum. And every one of the forums that I attended, I started off by saying that Flint is in a state of emergency. I'm happy that my colleagues here tonight agree with me now. That they agree with me now that we're in trouble. And it's going to take all of us, like Reverend Burns said, to lift us out of the situation that we currently face.
All right, thank you very much. Dean Wally.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks to UAW 651 and all of the Democratic Party members who came together to host this particular forum. We've had forums in lots of other settings and parts of the community, but for me it's great to be here in one of our labor halls with all of our Democratic community together. I don't know about anybody else out there, but I hope there's a couple other proud Democrats in this audience. Is that right? Now, this is a nonpartisan office. We all know that. But I've made no mistake from the beginning that I'm an active Democrat. I had the support of the Democratic Party in Genesee County caucuses in the 2007 race. We got lots of time tonight to cover lots of different topics, but I wanted to touch on this first because I'm one who believes that the future of this city and this country hangs in the balance today. We just finished this historic 100 days of a presidency that I dare say many of us in this room never believed we would see. Maybe there are a few foresighted folks, and we all held a deep belief, but we have come to this unique point in our history. And Flint has a great history of dealing with change and coming out bigger and stronger than before. And we cannot let that legacy pass us by. Yes, we have had years of challenge. The times are harder now than probably ever. The unemployment rate is where it was in the early years of the Great Depression, and we don't know what's coming next. But as we go through our answers tonight and then you go home and get ready to cast your vote on Tuesday, May 5th, I hope when you close your eyes that you look at who you believe can move this city forward. Because I'm seeing this city in the front windshield, not in the rearview mirror.
Thank you, Mr. Wally. Okay, now we're going to questions. Before we start with Brenda Clack, I want to say that please hold your applause in the interest of time. Every time you applaud for a candidate's responses, and I understand your enthusiasm for your candidate, but that'll just prolong things and we'll get less questions and answers in. Okay, Ms. Clack, and this is to the whole panel. Sorry about that. In this time of budget cutting, what's your proposal to deal with crime and to make sure there's good response time?
Thank you. That's an issue that, of course, we expect to come up, and it is a difficult time. We have to recognize that there will be budget cutting, as it is now. I hope that within the next few months that this, with the interim mayor's term in office, that all the budget cuts will be done. But if not, I would like to first, as we deal with crime, realize that we have crime because we have too many individuals, young and middle-aged or young adults who don't have jobs. Jobs will cure a lot of this. They're on the street, they're idle because they have nothing else to do. And it's human nature to survive. And that is why we have so much crime. I would utilize the police force to its max. I'll first have an inventory reporting done for me to understand just where and how the police force is being used in terms of numbers. I will then maximize those numbers. We realize that there's not crime all over our city. So we need to strengthen those areas where the crime is most prevalent. Then the most number of police need to be in those areas. And it can be done easily. There are certain times that crime occurs, then that's when we should use that police force at those times. And we're aware of that. Criminals basically move about when they're less noticed. We have to utilize that time, that period, as best we can. We want to also make sure that with the stimulus money that's coming through, and I do believe that that's possible, that we'll be able to retrieve many of those police officers that have lost their jobs. And also, we have about $1.5 million that we can retrieve in terms of monies from the impound. Those monies can stabilize our city for at least 1 year in terms of police. If we keep the impound going, that $1.5 million is generated from the impound can keep our police on the streets, but again, maximize them to their best ability.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Teresa?
I think that public safety is probably one of the most important components of being able to encourage economic development, to be able to encourage community development. One of the things that we need to do in the city of Flint, we're going to have to transform the government and government operations and services inside of the city of Flint. We're going to have to reevaluate those services and see where we can find revenues that we can put right back into our general fund so that we can begin to hire new police officers or either fire officers. I think it's important that we hire a competent police chief that can help us to determine a public safety strategy for our community based on the limited resources and based on the manpower that we have available. I think it is important that we begin to have conversations with the county and with the state and with the FBI to determine where there's duplication and replication of services and how we can find a different way of freeing up officers and being able to rethink how we utilize those officers. I think it is important that we establish a grants department within the city so that we can begin to take a look at what other revenues over the years. There have been thousands, if not millions of dollars that we have not been able to go out and get because we have not established a grants department whose sole responsibility is to bring revenues into our community. I think if we take a look at all of those different components, we'll find ways in order where we can generate revenues in order to be able to find police officers. Last but not least, the most important way in order for us to make sure we get the police officers or police chiefs is we've got to increase tax revenues. In order for us to do that, we're going to have to bring new businesses to our community and we're going to have to create jobs. Anything less than that is going to be extremely difficult for us to do. I'm determined, and I promise you, my goal will be to bring jobs, to bring new business development, and to bring community development to our community with a master plan.
Thank you, Mr. Easton. Mr. Mays?
Yeah, I always finish up the last question like I am going to do now at the beginning of this one. Then I start talking faster because what I was going to say to the last question, which was the introduction, is that really who I am and what we've done in the UAW and so forth and so on is all in the brochure. I know it's people listening on the radio that won't be able to see it, but anybody here, if you're sincere, just look at our background and education in the brochure. They're here for you to pick up. if you really know Flint, and if you've really been downtown studying, and if you're just a regular citizen, you call the police in Flint. The patrol officers take a complaint. They give you a complaint number. You waiting on a detective. You waiting on some follow-up. You call 3-4 times, you call that complaint number, and guess what? Nothing. Not a majority of the voters know that. This is the answer. You got to be there. We ain't got to search for answers. That's gonna slow us down. That's why I'm telling you, you got to pick the candidate that know. If you really want to move Flint forward, you got to quit voting for friendship. I know him, I went with, that's crazy. Vote for the solutions. The solutions to crime is in the detective bureau. You can't have 200 officers turning in 2 complaints a day, that's 400. To 10 or 20 detectives, they can't keep up with it. Can't investigate them, they just laying there stacked up. You got to reorganize the police department, and you need about 50 to 60 to 70 detectives. You can get by with 140 patrol if you get the crooks off the street. Some of the crooks in the stack 5, 6, 7 times. We could have stopped Green Whitlow and his wife from being dead.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mays. Mr. Neely.
Thank you. That's a 2-part question. And I'm glad that, that my colleagues here on this panel have been listening to me in previous debates, because this is what I've done as a councilman. It was a 2-part question: what are we going to do about crime and the budget cuts? We have to find additional revenue streams to support the infrastructure of public safety. So as a councilman, I've authored many ordinances to support public safety, to provide additional revenue without causing a tax upon the people. False alarm ordinance. We know we get 10,000 false alarms every year. The companies make money on the subscribers in the city of Flint. They need to pay their fair share. Also, they talk about crime. We talk about putting more law officers on the street. What we need is a multi-jurisdictional law enforcement force. We pay county taxes. We need more county sheriffs on the roads of Flint. We pay state taxes. We need more state patrols on the city of Flint. What I've done is author a letter last year to Robert McHale, which is the sheriff, to ask for more patrols in the 6th Ward where I represent. I also did the same thing with Jennifer Granholm. Anytime on the weekend from Thursday through Sunday in the 6th Ward, you will see additional patrols in the 6th Ward, reducing crime. Many nuisance crimes, breaking into your car and different things of that nature. Also, we have to look at where crime comes from, because you can put 10,000 police officers on the street of Flint, all you're going to do is arrest more people. But systemic problems of crime, lack of opportunities for young people, lack of educational opportunities. So we have to partner with our universities, we have to partner with nonprofit, for-profit recreational opportunities, providing recreational opportunities for young people. So what we need to do is look at a multi-jurisdictional task force for crime, and also providing more revenue to support the infrastructure of public safety. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wallen.
We all know that jobs, our neighborhood safety, and our schools, that all of those things are connected. But what a mayor's job is to utilize the resources that are available, the force, other financial resources, to provide as much public safety as the community needs. And I've walked blocks all over this city. And one thing I can tell you is that every neighborhood in this city is threatened and afflicted by violent and property crimes. This is not something, and maybe it was back before I was born or some other time before I was watching, but when I walk the streets, I see and talk to people who are concerned about their safety, concerned about the safety of their children in every part of the city. So I've pledged to create a mini station. Right now we currently have 6. Under my administration, we'll have 9 police mini stations. Chief Locke has shared with me that he sees no reason why that would incur any additional cost for the force. There are business owners with vacant properties who are more than happy to provide those in a partnership fashion to the police force, to the city. So we can now establish a presence in every ward. We can have community volunteers, criminal justice interns, staffing those stations, because what we need to do with our police force is we need to separate the most pressing calls that only a badged and sworn officer can address from the other non-emergency and nuisance and ordinance concerns that other parts of our city government can take care of. So the efficiency comes by making sure that our officers are on the scene only on the most important calls, and all the other concerns, all the other legitimate concerns that citizens have all across the city are dealt with by City Hall, but not necessarily the police department. Thank you.
Okay, General Buchanan?
Now here again, I'm going to show you why experience counts. At present, we have 52 sworn police officers in the Flint Police Department that don't answer calls. If you just put 26 of them on the street, you have the people and the personnel necessary to reduce crime. They have $2 million in overtime. We give them comprehensive time instead of overtime, that's another 20 officers. We subsidize code enforcement, $1.6 million. We give them $1 million, that's another 10 officers. That's 56 police officers on the street. This is about cutting anyone or adding anything. You put your captains, you put your lieutenants, and you put your sergeants on the street to answer calls. We applied for the Jane Byrne Department of Justice grants. Very competitive. At one point, they had a 25% match for cities, but we're in such an economic crisis, they waived it. We get the officers for free, but we must compete. It does us no good to compete for a grant, and we have to pay a match. We don't have the money to pay the match. We must only go after grants where the match has been waived. We can also do the same thing for the firefighters. The International Firefighters Association, there's $8.8 billion out there for us to competitively go after for firefighters. These are the things that we need to do. We don't need to hire any more grant writers. We have enough people on staff. We have enough talent. All we have to do is go after the money that's already there. It takes no more people. This isn't rocket science. You just have to know government. Basic principles. Go for the money, where the money is, and sit down and negotiate with your labor unions. You can get this done. You can get it done. I've seen people get it done, and I'll get it done for you. You need a mayor who knows where the money is and how to get it, and I'll be that person.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Okay, next question. Now, mayors have sometimes taken credit for economic development in Flint. There's always kind of an open question how much a mayor, how much...
John, excuse me. Those mics interfere with one another, so when the first three people get done, you need to turn that mic off before the other one comes on.
Okay. All right, so mayors have sometimes taken credit for economic development coming to Flint. There's always an open question how much impact they really have. Tell me what each of you would do to bring jobs to Flint. Let's start with Mr. Eason.
I think it is important as you listen to each and every one of us that the questions that the moderator is asking us, they're asking us for solutions. And so over the last 20 years in the two administrations of which, as we sit here, we have an individual who was a city administrator that worked for an administration that came into an $8 million surplus and left with a $25 million deficit. I want to make sure you understand that when people start talking about giving you answers to questions. I want you to understand we have a city councilman who sits here, who quite frankly for all of those 5 years voted for every piece of legislation and everything that Donald Williamson passed. I want you to understand that. So all of these are solutions that we have here. Now, let me make sure I answer your question, and I'll answer it real quickly. I have been involved in economic development. I was responsible for bringing the Job Corps Center. I initiated the Job Corps Center out of Job Central. That was a $20.5 million economic development project with a capacity of $5.5 million a year for 30 years, which could be, at the end of the 30 years, almost $170.5 million to this community. I was involved in economic development and took $5 million from the Mott Foundation and actually established the Broom Center, which had the capacity of generating over $9.5 $8 million a year over a period of 10 years. So I was involved in doing that. In terms of jobs, I think it is important that we, number one, establish a marketing plan to be able to display to potential businesses that will come to our community exactly the features that we have and the reasons why they need to come to our community. We have never established a marketing plan in the history. The other thing I think we need to establish is an economic development plan and an economic development department for our community. And we have not had that in the last 20 years. The next thing is I will hire a consultant.
Thank you, Mr. May.
When I was saying we could have stopped the death of Green Whitlow and his wife, we knew from that stack of complaints identifying who's who that's just laying there, we knew when they left Mary Cleves for dead on Fleming Road who they were. Believe me, when I give you a solution, you check it out. 3,000 complaints stacked up identifying suspects. I didn't have to say jobs was the solution to crime because the question was crime. You get that stack down, get the bullies and the people off the street who've already been identified, and you do that with detectives. They run when they see police cars. You gotta have undercover people, people with backward hats on, mingling, and you pull them out. The job question, clearly, I agree 100%. You create jobs, you keep people busy, you lessen crime. But I knew the job question was coming. The question is, what do you bring? How do you bring jobs here? Eric Mays has said you can create jobs. The politicians, how do you bring jobs to Flint? I can take 3 people in the audience, incorporate them, form a limited partnership, direct the Department of Economic Development to fund it, just like they're doing downtown, and I can put a plant over here where they knock AC down. If 651 want to represent them, we'll talk about that. But you don't have to wait to bring jobs here. That's why we ain't got none coming. You got to understand you can create jobs. $12 million on Pasadena. It's a limited partnership called Shiloh Commons, named after the church, Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church. I remember before Daddy died when he asked me to deal with the downtown group to help get that project going.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Mr. Neal.
We continue to use this one, or? Well, never mind. We'll use this one. We'll continue with this one. I know you guys have been experiencing elections and political strife in this community for a very long time, and are frustrated with that. Now, there's been some indictments made by Mr. Eason of a couple people here. Now, I'm not going to lend anything to that because I won't respond to that, not right now. But my record is public. All of my votes are public on council. I've not abstained on any. I've attended the most council meetings, and I voted. I've been there, voted. Now, the question is talking about creating jobs. Now, you heard me say this before. We're in a state of emergency in this community, and as well in the state of Michigan, as well as in our country. The question should be about job retention, good paying jobs in this community. If we create 50 jobs today, but we lose 250 jobs at the school board, we lose 100 jobs at City Hall, we lose 50 jobs at Hurley Hospital, are we successful? No. We need to take our cue from our nation's capital. President Barack Obama gave $14 billion to General Motors. It wasn't to create new jobs, but to keep good paying jobs in local communities. Now, this is an election, a modified election, to fulfill the term of the resigned Mayor Don Williamson. Now, you only have 2 years. This election will happen next week. It will conclude in 2011. What can we accomplish in that time? What can we accomplish? We need to stand together, hold until we can push forward as a community. Public safety is important, quality of life. Now, I have about 15 seconds left. Research my record and research everybody's record here. And then you make your decision. Because I believe we all have a record. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Waller?
Every mayor and every elected official, business leader, you can go down the list, has some important role to play in making a place either better for business and jobs or a little bit worse. So I've committed as mayor to making Flint's process of starting, establishing, and expanding a business as simple and streamlined as possible. Right now, all the forms are in different orders. The inspection schedule is not synced up with the needs of new businesses and investors. And this is large and small. This may be somebody who wants to start a 20 or 30 person light manufacturing company in renewable energy or higher technology manufacturing, or it could be somebody who wants to start a neighborhood business in one of our neighborhood business centers. So that needs to change. I've already put the application for the Renaissance Zone on my own website, because right now the only way you can get it is through the paper copy. And there's a lot of folks in business who don't work that way anymore. This is the 21st century. So we need to have a streamlined business process, making this city open for business and easy for these permits and licenses and planning and zoning to all be accomplished within 60 to 90 days. That's becoming the standard all across the country. In Flint, we're lucky if it's 6 to 9 months. So when you drive down I-75 and you see all the national and regional headquarters that are located in Oakland County, that's the reason why. Paying the same Michigan business taxes, locating on the same interstate, and they're not in this area because it's been too tough to do business. That'll change. I was a part of that change in D.C. Mayor Tony Williams' administration in Washington, D.C., and we can do the same thing here. Many other cities have accomplished the same thing, but this is on us to fix first.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan.
I'd like to make a correction of the former previous speaker that if you look at the new plan on Bristol Road, we help facilitate the permits to build that plant, retain jobs, and get the new manufacturing and the battery to the city of Flint. We push that through. But I guess that's something you may have listened to the paper. If you want jobs in Flint, you need to go to a council meeting. Every council meeting, there's between $2 to $4 million on any given Monday that goes to contracting out city jobs. I would push to only give contracts to city contractors and make them hire city people. We sit up here and we talk about green jobs, but very few people know we need to go out and contact the Apollo Alliance and the Sierra Club to put together a green collar ordinance to attract green manufacturing, just like they did in LA. LA is moving ahead with it, and so can we. We must get involved with the Manufacturing Mayors Association of America. That's the group we're involved in. We flew to DC and we argued for Brady loan for GM, Ford, Chrysler. These are the types of groups that we have to be involved in if we want to push Flint forward. Talk is cheap. You have to be involved with these organizations. You have to be able to go on C-SPAN like we did and talk about bringing businesses to Flint and talk about bringing jobs, and they have to trust your judgment like they trusted me. As far as other businesses, we need to truly look at our Section 108 dollars. The mayor is the chairman of the Economic Development Corporation. They give money for businesses like downtown. We can create jobs if we have a mayor who knows how this has been done and starts putting the money in the neighborhood. On Saginaw, on Lee, on Franklin. That's how you create business development. You have an open-minded mayor who believes in the true meaning of community. Community sometimes stops in Flint when it comes to dollars. I want community to be spreading the wealth. We need downtown, we need it other places.
Ms. Black?
Thank you. As I sit here, I'm really, really confused. Women focus immediately on what the problem is. If all of this could have been done, if the Sierra Club could have been contacted, if the Apollo industry could have been contacted, if you're in a position to do something to make a change in the city, then why don't you do it if you're in a position to do it? It hurts me because the city has gone through all of this for 6 years. If you are in a position, in a sitting position to have made a change, why was that change not made? I can say, as a member of the state legislature, I made some changes. You can check the legislation. What has happened in this city in terms of growth was done because I sat on a committee that pushed tax breaks to allow the businesses that did come to this city to come. It bothers me. Why do you have to start now to do it? Why are we suffering now? If you could have done something, you should have done it. Be part of the solution, not the problem. This former mayor put us in the deficit we're in now. As a city manager, and you know I love you, but you're in a position to make a change, and you did not do it, and that is not right. And that is why we're in the position we're in now. I will not do that. If I'm in a position, you can check my record. In a position, I made changes. I did things for this city. It's about experience. It's about leadership. It's about taking risks, being ready and able to take a stand and stand by what you mean. It's not about me. It's about we. And we need help in this city. We needed help for 6 years, and we didn't get it. We went down, down, down. And I am tired of it.
Okay, thank you. Hold your applause, please. Thank you. Okay, next question. And this will first go to Mr. Mays. Next question is about cooperation between the city and the county. Now, supporters for years have talked about there need to be increased efficiencies between the city of Flint and Genesee County government, and that will be more efficient and save money in the long run. Critics have always said that that will take away Flint's identity. There are a lot of downsides to it. We want to hear what you think about increased cooperation between the city and the county, and what are some of your ideas on it? Mr. Mays.
Yeah, I hope they keep me clear of all this finger pointing. This debate is the worst one I've seen as far as people talking about solutions in themselves versus it's been happened about 3 weeks out. I'm going to say everybody up here got good sense. Everybody is good people. We are almost there to the primary. Let's not tear each other down. Let's continue to work together, because do you know you got the leadership of the city of Flint right here? It's enough room for everybody here. So I don't want to get into it, but if somebody take a hit at me, it's on. We had jobs in our headquarters. This people, it's 200 people that work down our headquarters. You can create jobs. We're doing bottled water like Amway. You get in, you get 10 people. We can bring 3,000 right now. I don't know why the Flint Journal ain't put it front page. He came in there and investigated it. We legal. Jobs can be made. This question is about the county. I'm gonna tell you where the county mess up at, because they fooling around with that senior millage money now. Just release the money. They first tried to make the excuse that Diane was there and the money wasn't being spent right. Well, Diane is gone. Give the city its money for the senior millage, because you're making a bad impression. Plus, we was gonna shut down Saginaw Street for a thing we had tomorrow. We got Mateen Cleese, Robert Smith, Antonio Smith, Flintstones. The city gave us approval. We go to the county, we can't get a signature. They playing politics. Now they want the Hurley millage to pass and want me to sign on. I'm not gonna put Hurley in harm's way where you got to now beg the county commissioners to do something, and they politicking with millage money before they release it. The county have not showed me yet that they can let us be independent.
Thank you, Mr. Mays. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, and this is a very, very good question. As Mr. Mays has just stated about the senior millage money, but we have other problems as well with the county. Now, the county faces a deficit much like the city of Flint, but the city of Flint has assets. We can bond and get ourselves out of debt. We can levy some of our debt to another position so we can push forward. Now, I believe in cooperation. I believe in dialogue. I believe in those type of things, but not to surrender our strength, not to surrender our power. I don't believe in a regional form of government. I think that's the direction that they may want to move into someday. I don't believe in that, no. Now, partnerships, when we talk about partnerships and good partnerships, we have to first talk about what has the county done to the city of Flint. Most of the abandoned property that you see is owned by the Genesee County Land Bank. They don't take care of those properties. I get the phone calls from residents about tall grass and unsafe structures in the community. But as a municipality, we cannot sue another unit of government to force them to take care of those properties. We cannot mandate it, but it's up to us, those of us that's elected leaders in this community, to make sure the residents are safe, make sure blight is down, and we have to pay for that. The county does not take care of that. You, the city residents, pay for your parks 3 times over. You pay with your regular tax, you pay with a tax millage, a park millage, and also a county park millage. Genesee County does not come into the city of Flint to help us take care of any of our parks, though we pay for that. Now, partnerships should begin with good faith. So I need the county to come here and take care of those blighted buildings that they own. I need them to help take care of our parks in the city of Flint and release the senior millage money for our seniors in this community. That's where partnerships begin, and then we can move forward. But I believe in dialogue and I believe in partnerships.
Mr. Wallen?
It's right that cooperation, dialogue, discussion, those are always good things. But there is a lot of confusion around this issue of city and county. I'll tell you very clearly that I believe in increased strategic cooperation between the city and county. I am not in favor of these different kinds of operational integrations, because when you get too many levels of government trying to run simple community programs, it gets mixed up really quickly. So we need to do in the city what we're charged with doing: our fire, our police, our basic services, our neighborhood planning, our business development. The county needs to do what it's charged with doing with its revenues, some of which, as Councilman Neely pointed out, are to serve the city of Flint residents who are also residents of Genesee County. And then, when we talk about bringing jobs to this community, we have to recognize that there will be people who choose to work in one place